powered by nuclear energy.
Hi, this is DJ Mondo, and welcome to the Atomic Luau, and welcome to another episode of SketchLab. First episode of SketchLab for the year 2023. The reason I'm doing this today is one of the things I'm doing here is testing a new setup for OBS streams so that you can see what I'm doing in the application Clip Studio Paint, which is my preferred app for drawing on digitally on the not just on the Mac but also on the iPad as well, the Apple iPad as well. One of the good things about Clip Studio Paint is that the tool set on the iPad version and the Mac version are exactly the same. There's is one-to-one. All of the tools are there. You can transfer, and it's so easy to transfer projects directly from the iPad. Start them on the iPad, transfer them to your Mac, and continue them there. Transfer them back to your iPad if you want, because there is absolutely nothing lost tool-wise or setting-wise, and those can be shared across those two platforms. But I haven't used it for a long time. But I haven't used it for very long, but it's a really great app. It's everything that Photoshop is, but for comic books. Basically all the tools for cutting frames, word balloons, adding textures, anything you want, and then saving your own clips and using them later. That is, saving your own artwork in the app and using it for later is a real plus as well. So anyway. The reason I'm doing this is on the 2nd of January is because I've made a resolution to go through my iPad and finish that and finish some of at least that ton of digital artwork that I've made over the past couple of years that never actually got finished. It started off as a sketch and never actually got finished or turned into a project or anything like that. So I've got like half finished comics, half designed characters, half designed vehicles and things like that. And I decided to go through and pull up some of that stuff and actually finish it, turning it into a finished piece of artwork and maybe posting it online somewhere. It may not make any money or anything like that, but I'll at least be satisfied that I accomplished something. At least I finished it. So one of those, which I'm going to work on today, is a little 6-page ash can, which ties into the origin story of DJ Mondo. So it may not be apparent at the beginning, but at least you'll get to see some of my inking techniques here. What I'm doing today is I usually work on the iPad for these, but I wanted to go back to working on my Mac to do some of the finished projects because it's really kind of snappy. So I'm going to be working on my Mac Mini, which is still an Intel Mac Mini. It's the a Core i7 processor Mac Mini, but it still gets the job done. Still runs the latest OS. Just updated to Ventura on it. Everything seems to be working well, and it's and like I said, it's pretty snappy to work on. I'm also working on a Cintiq display. That's one of the touchscreen pen monitors from Cintiq. I have a Cintiq Pro 24-inch, which I love. This is the almost the pinnacle of it for me. A few problems with it, but they can't be resolved by spending They can't be resolved by spending more money on it. I do need it to sit at a better angle when I'm drawing, but in order to get the stand that I need for it, that's another $250. I'm sorry, Wacom, you can't get that out of me. At least not for another couple of months. I just don't have the money right now. But I love my Cintiq. I swear by Cintiq for all of your digital drawing needs. But there are other lower cost alternatives out there for it, which I may look into if I ever decide to get rid of my decide to get rid of my Cintiq or something happens to it. There are low cost alternatives on it that are just as good and just as viable. So, so yeah, let's take a look at. Like I said, I've got all of these half finished projects out here, and I figured I was gonna just listen to some relaxing music and take about 45 minutes or so to go over this item that I'm working on now and do a little bit of inking, maybe at least ink one panel. But I kind of want to show you first what we're working on. So let's go to this and move it around so that we can zoom in. And there's 6 pages here. Basically, it's a set of characters here that I call the Space Cowgirls, and this is a story that's set in the future, in a city much like Chicago. But it's kind of one of those cyberpunk worlds where people hang out where strange aliens and things hang out in bars, and cyborgs come in. So I'm going to zoom into some of the panels so you can see some of the inking that I've done here so far, and also the layout of the story. A second. Zoom. Basically kind of starts off with a close-up establishing shot of a character that I call Boss. She's kind of the leader of the Space Cowgirls, and she also owns the bar where they work. And let's zoom in a little more. Here we go. And so Boss is always depicted with these giant earrings. I don't know how she wears those, because they got to be heavy. If they're made out of any kind of gems or something like that, they've got to be really heavy on her ears. But it's the future, so perhaps they don't weigh anything. Working behind the bar is Siditi, another cowgirl. She's kind of the second in command, also a martial artist. And I've added in a couple of just strange characters here, like this guy with the rebreather backpack on, and his girlfriend with these Saturn rings on her head. The designs here aren't as tripped out as some of the other stuff that I've seen from artists that I admire. Like, I'm from the era of like heavy metal with guys like Gaetano Liberatore, who did Ranzarax, and Richard Corbin, who did Den. If you know those, then you know the kind of looks and things that I'm going for here. And what I've tried to do here is kind of make a good mix of backgrounds, but at the same time, you kind of get lazy about the work if you want to draw, like too many humanoid figures over and over again. Sometimes you get lazy, but this panel here is another kind of establishing shot that I wanted to do to make sure that you know that they're working in a bar. Meanwhile, Siditi's fixing Boss a drink, and Boss commenting on how slow the night is because there's a music festival in town or something, and not a lot of people have showed up. And page 2 here. Zoom in. And a little bit more dialogue interaction here. I thought it would be good to put some silhouettes in the background there, just so you know that the place is a little bit crowded, or there are some people like out on the dance floor here. Another thing I wanted to do was leave that backspace open for that's like a video wall or something that that will be back there, and that'll come in crucial later because there's some actioning happening in one of the later pages. And behind the bar, there's an array of bottles there. I did that by just making a bunch of bottles and duplicating them, and then skewing the angle and putting them behind the subject here. That's the one of the advantages of working digitally. I work digitally. I never work on paper or anything like that. I used to work on paper, but I'm never going back because of all of the stuff that's possible digitally. And the bar is called the Corral. And I try to make a good mix of like medium shots and close up and stuff like that in order to kind of establish the scene. As the story goes on, Sadidi detects someone starting a nuclear reactor here in the bar, which usually is an indicator of that some rogue cyborg is close by. So they have to be wary of those because nobody's hurt, so nobody gets hurt. And of course, she detects it on her Apple Watch. Apparently, she's wearing an Apple Watch, and she informs Boss, who turns around, and on the next page, our cyborg appears, and it's this guy who has these crazy legs, crazy spider legs. Now, my guess is he came in looking normal. Maybe he's got 4 legs, so I think maybe those legs were put together so it looked like he had 2 legs, and then they just busted out of his jeans or whatever, and he decided to rob the place with a couple of Uzis or whatever those guns are he's carrying. But he breaks out on the dance floor and people start to run, and that causes the cowgirls to go into action because nobody robs their place, particularly on a slow Friday night. And so Sadidi comes over the bar while Boss grabs her whip, and the Surge Whip, which is an electric whip. It always has to be called something because it's, since it's a science fiction story, it has to be called something funny. So, and this is where the Clip Studio Paint kind of shines, because you have tools like perspective rulers, which is how you draw these parallel lines in order to indicate speed. Anybody who's read Japanese manga knows what I'm talking about here. And so in order to indicate speed or force or power or something like that, that's what you use that for. And well, at least that's what I use it for. You can use it for the parallel lines. You could use it also to draw buildings or structures or anything like that. And but there's all sorts of incredibly useful tools like that in Clip Studio Paint in order to do those effects. But I'm using it in a very simple fashion here. So, and now we're approaching a page that isn't really inked yet, but let's do it anyway, and I'll have some indication of the direction that I'm going to go in with the inks once I add it. Oops. Oh no, hold on. Let's zoom. Okay, and so in this little 3-panel sequence here, you'll see that the Surge Whip grabs his arm and ensnares his arm, and she sends a surge of electricity through it and shocks the guy pretty good. with her with the power through that handle, which causes him to lose his first gun, but he's got a second firearm. And this is the next panel that I'm going to start inking here is this one. So he fires his weapon, and another interesting point here is a third character comes in. This is Chubbs. Chubbs comes in with her shield, and blocks the incoming bullets. But I hate this panel. I hate the layout of this panel. It's not, I don't know, it's just not dynamic enough. It also kind of changes the angle from which the action is occurring. It goes like a whole almost 180 to what we were seeing before, which is a little bit disorienting. So I'm actually going to replace this panel with another angle of the drawing, and which I'm doing in another application. So I'm going to import that and put that here. But and again, that's the beauty of this, is that you can swap out anything that you don't like and not lose, and lose a few minutes work rather than a couple of days work. But yeah, that's that panel. And going over to page 5. Zoom in. Chubbs rears up. Now she has a metal arm here, a lot like the Winter Soldier here, even though she's not a cyborg. But she powers up her cyborg arm and fires a repulsor beam, for want of a better word. Disney, don't sue me. At our antagonist, who's still out on the dance floor, whipping his second gun from his hand and knocking him off balance. And then Sadiddy rushes in, and with an assist from Chubbs, leaps high into the air, and with her electric nunchucks comes in and delivers the coup de grace. And it's a bit risque here. She always kind of leads with her panties here, but we don't want to emphasize that for the kids. And last panel, she delivers the final blow, which maybe that stun sound effect will be there, maybe not, and knocks the guy unconscious and leaves him out on the dance floor. While Chubbs and Boss look on. And they decide what they're going to do with him, and figuring out how he got in with his cyborg enhancements, because they're not allowed. And finally Boss tells Chubbs to bounce him out, and then she walks off. But that's our basic 6-panel story. That's our little ash can, but that's a precursor to the DJ Mondo story. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start inking one of these panels here to at least to show the technique and to see where we're going here. Now, one of the things that you can do here with one of the things that you can do here is with this is, now right now all the inking here is raster, meaning that it's all just pixels. I use the pen tool to ink it, but it's all just pixels, meaning that it's not it's not a complete object. You can draw and erase with it. What I think I'm going to do is once it's completely inked, I'm going to convert the inks to vector drawing. And with vector drawing, you can make a whole lot of changes without breaking down it, without having to erase pixels and things like that. You can also change the line weights without having to redraw anything. And but vector is pretty handy, and that's what one of the charms of Clip Studio Paint is that it has that vector feature, and also you can convert the layers. If you're more comfortable drawing in raster, like I am, you can draw in raster and then convert to vector and make really great changes. So for example, one of the things that I wanted to do on the first page here is the line work gets a little busy around the top where that girl with the hair is, and that girl with the afro puffs is, and those two cyborg people standing there. The line work gets a little busy, and I want to kind of distinguish the bar area from the background. So one of the things that I was thinking was to convert to vector and then change the line weight of some of the items here from the upper left side of the screen down to the right side, and make the bar area pop from the background a little bit more by just changing the line weight of the edges. And you can do that with vector. You can't do that with raster. If I wanted to do that with raster, I'd have to get a different pen and redraw all those lines between them. But with vector, you have a line weight tool that can just change the line weight of an existing vector line. And that's what I think I'm going to go for here, and that can change the complexion of your inks entirely. You can actually insinuate light and shadow with line weight rather than by having to put shading on the drawing itself. So and that's one of the cool things about it. So let's move over here and at least start our inking on this guy and make sure that we're in the right layers. Let's move into this guy's face, because that's usually where I start. So let's make sure that we're in the right layer here. All right, that's the ink layer. Clean up layer. All right, we're in the ink layer. All right, so let's get our pen that we're using. We're using the G pen. All right. Yep, that works good. And let's turn this on. Let's see if we can do the All right. I'm going to go thicker on the outer lines. This guy has bolts in his head. I figure so he can log into machines just by plugging in. So yeah, like I said, I'm inking in vector right now. I mean, I'm inking in raster right now, but I can always convert to vector later and thicken up or thin up these lines, because there's a tool here that will do that, but it must be vector. I'm just kind of being free with it. I'm not really, doing a really precision drawing here. And I think sometimes it gets lost a little bit when you try to overwork it too much, you know. Well, let's do a really this guy really thick eyebrows, really thick criminal eyebrows. Guests of the Atomic Luau stay at the luxurious Mondo Arms. The Mondo Arms, where comfort is king. Ah, crap! One of the things I kind of miss is I use another application on the iPad called Procreate. And Procreate has a pretty unique ability where if you draw a line and you hold it, and then you hold the pen at the end, the line becomes a straight line, a straight edge line. And it saves so much time drawing straight edges. You don't have to switch to a ruler or anything like that. It also does this. Procreate also does the same thing when you're drawing circles or ellipses. If you draw the circle or an ellipse and you hold it, it becomes a perfect circle. It becomes a perfect ellipse. And then if you tap the screen at the same time while you're holding the ellipse, it becomes a perfect circle, and you can resize from there before you let go of the pen. That's one ability that I wish Clip Studio Paint had. That would make precision drawing so much easier using this. Because if I want to draw a perfect circle right now, I've got to switch to a different tool. So, Clip Studio Paint, if you're listening, developers, if you're listening, please add that. Take a cue from Procreate. And that's the thing of like using different tools. Procreate has those precision tools, but it doesn't have the page layout features that Clip Studio Paint has. And Clip Studio Paint has the page layout features, but doesn't have the precision drawing tools like Procreate. I mean, it has precision drawing tools, but they don't work like Procreate. That would save you so much time. This guy's got a mohawk because everybody bad in the future has a mohawk. Just going to draw a big mass here that I'm going to fill in. Let's get our paint bucket. There we go. texture to his hair. Thicken it up a little bit. There we go. Get some smaller points and come back here with some finer points. This guy's pupils dilated. He probably is on some space drug or something like that. Zoom out a little bit. Know how to switch the ruler tool. Draw straight lines because that whip is here. Still wrapped around his arm. There we go. case anybody's wondering, I'm listening to a Mind Harp. Mind Harp is a iPhone, iPad app that helps you relax with musitation like that. And that, along with just drawing and sketching, really helps you to relax. Like I said, I'm trying to keep a promise to the new year to draw more and to finish more artwork, and which I don't know why I don't do it more, because it's so relaxing, So draw a little bit every day. I'm not going to get too upset about straight lines. However, I may, for this other leg over here, I'm going to draw, and for the gun, I'm going to have to use the ruler tool to keep the lines straight. The monitor is also pressure sensitive too. You can vary the line weight by putting more or less pressure on the drawing, which is just like the iPad, and so it's much more natural. Switch tools. Oh no, I switched colors accidentally. Let's redo. Actually, let's use the ruler tool and knock out some of these straight lines. Those inner lines are probably not necessary. I'm probably going to paint the whole gun black and then, put some kind of color on top of it in order to separate the planes of it. But we'll see. touch up there. This guy has fingernails. Let's fill in the gun. I'm going to leave that front edge because that's where the muzzle flash is going to light it up. So let's leave that. Hello, Cypher. I am drawing an ash can that I've been working on for a little while. I decided to finally at least try to finish it. Thanks for joining. And let's move to his other robotic leg. And see that's the annoying part right there is that bolt where his joint is. That would be so easy to draw in Procreate. It's kind of a hassle making a perfect circle in Clip Studio Paint. But I'm not complaining, not that much. But that's okay. Go back to the ruler, get the straight lines out of the way first. And there's that little hydraulic gear. So there we go. You don't really need to bother with that. I'm going to be logging off in just a few more strokes on this this panel. So yeah, don't worry about going out of the way here. But hey, thanks for your interest. that's the big stuff. Let's take care of some of the little things. What's this? All right, let's go down a bit here. Okay, one more here, a few more items here because his legs are essentially black. I gotta make sure that there's no open areas here, otherwise the whole thing will turn black if you use the paint bucket tool. So here we go. All right, I'll take care of the muzzle flash later, but essentially that's gonna cast. I'm thinking that may even cast a shadow on his side here because of the way he's holding that gun, but I don't want to get too into it. Let's just get the inks down for now. What is the time? It's 4:41. Okay, yeah, I've been going for almost an hour now, so gonna wrap up soon. And I'll post this on my YouTube channel if you want to follow along with any more commentary that I have about iPad drawing or Clip Studio Paint on the Mac. There's other apps out there, but I think Clip Studio Paint is one of the best. For sketching, Procreate is great. This 6-page drawing I did was actually started on Procreate. I imported it into Clip Studio Paint in order to finish it with some of the tools that they have on there. So they're all integrated. If you just know what file system they use, if they use PSD files, Photoshop document files. Most applications that are sketch-based applications use those. So if you can export them with that, you can import them anywhere else. Where start a sketch on some application that you're comfortable with for sketching, but for finishing you may be comfortable with another application. Just move it on over and start using it. And especially something with the page capabilities like Clip Studio Paint. A lot of people just want to sketch somewhere else, import those sketches, and then clean them up and finish them in Clip Studio Paint. So yeah, it doesn't matter what tool you use as long as you get to where you're trying to get with them. So it's always a hoot. Oops. Redo. I'm going to draw that joint later on using the ellipse tool. Let's use it now. And you see what I'm saying here? It's like you can't center it. You have to draw it and then move it. But if I were using Procreate, I just have to draw that circle, hold it, and it would be a perfect circle. Here we go. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Don't tell them, please. Clip Studio Paint developers, if you're listening, please work with the Procreate people and steal their ideas so that you can put them in this app. This would then be the perfect app. It's like 99.9% of the way there. That one thing will put it over the top. Anyway, I think we're coming up on the hour. Coming up on the hour mark. Yep, we are there. All right. So I'm going to wrap up here and come back and do some more later. But like I said, I'm keeping with my promise to finish all of the half-drawn stuff on my iPad. And for the new year, that's the promise that I made to myself, is to get some more stuff out there, get some more web comics out there and some more crazy stuff, and get back to the days of when I was reading heavy metal and that kind of artwork. There needs to be more artwork like that in the world. There needs to be more crazy artists in the world like Gaetano Liberatori and Richard Corbin, who we lost recently, and just a lot of the greats out there. Fernando Fernandez, Mobius, but all of those guys were great. Those are all great guys that I was, whose artwork that I admired coming up, and who really should be, put on a pedestal. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for listening, and fun times. Thanks everybody for dropping in. Check me out on djmondosrave.com, and while you're there, check out the merch section and get yourself a t-shirt or a cup or something, or somebody that you didn't buy a Christmas present for. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.
Returning Lima, the old with returning Lima, the old with returning Lima, the old with